So, Heavenly Father, we just want to give you thanks and praise for today. Thank you for
Yes.
our session. Thank you for our guests. Thank you, Lord, for those in the audience, both on Facebook and on Zoom, and those who will join us and those who will watch in YouTube. Lord, we just pray that you glorify your name and bless your people with the things we discussed today. Guide us, O God, to be clear on our points and let your name be glorified. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor Joy and Pastor Edmond, for coming back to us in such a back-to-back. So those of you on Facebook and those on Zoom, you are welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. We feel honored. Our guest today was with us just under a month ago. They are pastors Joy and Edmond Osaon. Pastor Edmond was born 58 years ago, a native of Irua, in Eastern Central local government area of Edo State, South Nigeria. He's an accomplished mechanical engineer who has spent the last 34 years in the steel, oil and gas, oil marketing, and upstream oil and gas sector of the Nigerian economy. He got born again some 40 years ago while a student at the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, North Central Nigeria. He's an assistant pastor in charge of a province in the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Rivers Province 7 in Port Harcourt. He is married to his best friend and wife of 32 years, Pastor Mrs. Joy Osaon. The marriage is blessed with 4 adult children, 3 males and 1 female, who have all graduated from various universities. Pastor Joy, on the other hand, hails from Ibonla in Kogi, local government area of Kogi State. That's North Central, right? North Central Nigeria.
North Central, yeah. It's actually Kogi local government.
She holds an MBA from the University of Ilorin and currently is the proprietor of the Numa Breed International Academy, Rumodara, Port Harcourt. And those of you who still have young people, and if you are within Port Harcourt area, this is a school you need to take your child to. She's been a Christian.
That's a free advert.
Yeah. She has been a Christian for over 4 decades and have, alongside her husband, pastored several Redeemed Christian Church of God parishes in the last 6 years. They met at the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, during their undergraduate years, excuse me, in the early 80s. They live here in the city of Port Harcourt, South Nigeria. So can you all join me to welcome Pastor Joy and Pastor Edmond Osaon to the meeting? So I would like you to just give a brief opening remark before we start our discussion.
Okay, so again, thank you very much for having us. We were here together about 3 weeks ago, I guess, or almost a month ago.
Yeah.
And it's all talking about adventure, right? In marriage for 32 years and 38 years, 38 years as friends, right? Back from our university days in Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. From being friends. We started a courtship. And after that, 6 years in between, we got married. April 18th, 1994. 1992, okay, 1992. And here we are 2 years after, yeah, still wanting more of each other, basically. So it's about the resilience, right, that we have had together, the ability, capacity, right, help of God in trying, intentionally, right, maintaining this relationship without getting bored of each other. Especially now that we are just two of us together, yeah, at home, like they mentioned, they call it the empty nest syndrome. Yeah. So that's what this meeting, I believe, is all about. Yeah. And may comment from Joy herself.
Okay. Yes, Pastor Joy.
Well, there's not really much more to add other than to say that we had set the ball rolling at the last meeting, how friendship had helped us. That's actually what first this meeting, and I can imagine that we'll be dwelling more on the friendship aspect tonight.
Yes, thank you very much. In our first encounter, they raised an issue that to me was a novel idea, couples as friends. And I think it's something that we need to explore more deeply. After we had that first session, I remember cases where, especially when we were living abroad, where people living abroad just come home to get married. And maybe family or friends identify somebody, or they meet online. And they just, maybe 1 month of their annual holiday, they come home, they finish everything, they leave, either live together or the husband returns, and then the wife joins later, without any room for courtship like you had 6 years of friendship. So I think that creates a challenging environment where they're trying to grapple with friendship and marriage at the same time. So that's why I felt it was necessary for us to meet together this month to look more closely at that concept. So maybe my wife will come in now.
Good evening once again, Pastor, and I'm glad to have you back. So yes, well, in our last discussion with you, and there was so much mention on friends, we are friends. So we decided to have today's zone as couples, as friends, so that you could share your experiences with us, because I know it's going to help a lot of us. So what does it really mean to be friends in a romantic relationship? Of course, being friends, ordinary friends, yes, this is my best friend, but now this is a romantic relationship. So how is it different from just school days friends? You say this is just my friend. Now you're in a romantic relationship. So what does it really mean to be friends?
Okay, so sometimes it becomes very difficult to try to separate them, right? You use the word romance, and that seems to set something totally different into the picture. But what do you really find among, friends? Mutual trust, for example. Yeah, you have intimacy. You, like they will say, in friendship, you are there for each other, right? You are support systems to one another without really judging each other. In friendship, you accept each other for who you are. You share moments of excitement together. You laugh, with each other and at each other without feeling demeaned or being looked down on, right? That's what friendship does. To two people. You trust each other, all right? You are able to tell each other things that even if it's about your weakness, right? The other person knows it, right? And accepts it just like that. In friendship, you don't expect too much, right? You are just satisfied with each other's company without what you may consider as benefits. You mentioned, for example, the issue of being maybe abroad and coming home here to get married within 1 month without establishing any connection. Sometimes the reasons are very obvious, right? You are looking for someone that you feel has the same kind of cultural outlook, right? So already you are beginning to kind of put a partition into this kind of relationship, right? Or this person will not be asking for too much. When it comes up, to friends, it's about unconditional acceptance, right? Just who you are, the way you are, and how you put up. There's no trying to become something so that the other person looks at you from that eye, but just fair. That's what friends are. And basically, in that kind of situation, you just discover that you grow together, right? And learn together. You mature together into whatever area of life, right, you intend to go. But importantly is that you celebrate each other as friends. Maybe,
Well, I think in friendship, just as a little addition, you're willing to give your friend the benefit of the doubt when issues happen, and then you discover that it is less done in marriage. It's easy to say, no, my friend won't do this to me. You discover that spouses easily want to hold on to offenses. And then friendship actually means that you connect even in the most unusual situations. Right? Something can be going on and you're in a crowd and both of you just look up and you're observing the same things and probably either smile, wink, or do something to acknowledge that you're seeing something together in the same way. You're not talking, but you can connect. So friends that can easily connect, it doesn't happen just because you're married. It's because you're your friend, and then you discover that you can have common friends. My friend becomes my friend's friend. Because usually there are certain things that make you this person's friend, and you discover that your other friends most likely have some of those same traits
Yeah.
or likings, and you discover that so my friend is your friend who is also my friend's friend, and like you can have that kind of change. So you discover that as friends, the friend of your friend becomes your friend. Normally wouldn't happen in marriage. Not all friends. In fact, many spouses don't have common friends.
Oh, okay. That's quite insightful. Oh, okay. I don't know if you want to continue or I can also come in.
No, yeah, you continue. I'll come in later.
Okay. Now, like I said, this is a new idea to me, and I guess to many others. So what would you give us, if I were to start, what are the foundational issues that you could lay, the foundations you could lay to transition from just couples doing the serious business of marriage to becoming friends.
Okay, so I believe one issue that is very fundamental is responsibility, right? And focus and vision. Because you probably have not set very clear boundaries, yeah, around where you're going. As friends, you probably will not be, talking along the same line. One of the things, of course, that happened today, which can be challenging, is that you can be friends and there are some discussions you don't want to have because you say, come on, if I say it this way now, it seems probably I'm tending to lead this other person towards this. Now, that barrier is broken, right? When you now start talking about a romantic relationship that is leading towards, marriage. Here now you are beginning to set very, very clear goals, yeah, around what will life be together, right? Around the visions, for your life, what you're going to become, and how your partner fits in to that aspect of life. How many children will you have? Yeah. What are your thoughts concerning finance, for example? How will the discipline of children be? From each other's perspective, knowing fully well that you come from different backgrounds. Yeah. So I don't want to use the word, but that's exactly what it is. That when you are transiting, you are now beginning to talk about serious stuff, all right, that goes around commitment, yeah, to each other for a life together. Now, this is clear. Very importantly, this is clear. It's no longer a bit, hazy, yeah, which itself, like I said earlier on, maybe because you don't want to say something when you have not said something, yeah. But now you are saying something, yeah. For example, one of the very important questions I asked my wife when the very first day that I said, "Will you marry me?" was, "Oh, do you realize that if we get married, we may probably end up going back to my village, right? At the end of our life to go and settle." That's one reality that can exist. It may never end up being like that, but at least you are able to understand how the person feels, yeah, in the company of a future that is a possibility. So those kind of foundations, right? Foundations, of course, because we are Christians, yeah, around, our prayer life together, right? Around our perception, right, of what the scripture says about specific areas. Today, for example, people have issues with tithes, right? Yeah. So if you are going to get married to someone who doesn't believe in tithe and you believe in tithe, that is already one big challenge that you have set in. Yeah. Or you are someone who believes in going to one mountain or the other, and this other person doesn't believe in going to mountains, another problem. So you have a lot of disconnects, around couples, especially around their belief system, even though they are Christians, by the way. So those are the kind of foundations that in that transition must be very clear to each of you here.
Okay, Pastor
Wow.
Joy, I'd like to hear you too.
I would look at it from a slightly different angle in the sense that when you're not totally different, maybe I'm looking at a different aspect of this foundation laying, because I believe that laying the foundation for friendship requires that both of you, all right, de-emphasize me, myself, I. There has to be an acknowledgement of the we. So you're understanding that it's not all about me anymore. It's about two people who are transiting to become one. Then there must be a recognition of the fact that, look, this thing that we're going into called marriage, it was God's idea. It was not man's idea. So it is not everything I have in my head that can make it work. It is what I allow God to use in me that will make it work. When people acknowledge these two things, I believe it goes a long way in helping them to reach a common ground on a lot of things. When you realize that it's not about me, it's about us. If you realize that this is about God also, not just us in this business, there's God to satisfy. It helps to bring both of you down to earth, if I'll use that expression, so that you can, in discussing the fundamental things he was raising, you can leave out selfishness, you can leave out wanting to assert yourself, like they will say these days, and then not allowing anybody to just ride over you roughshod, as it were. So these two things help to establish that. We've talked about trust already, that is important, especially in the scenario where two people are just meeting and in no time at all they're getting married. The issue of trust is very important. You have to believe that this person will not set out to harm you. Even if comments aren't in your favor, even if events don't look like they are in your favor, you have to believe that, look, this person won't set out to deliberately hurt me, whoever your spouse is. And that helps you to have a mindset that will accommodate the mistakes or errors that you think you're seeing. Once the mindset is that, look, I can't trust this person, after I just knew him a month ago, it already destroys a lot of things. So you can't believe that this person will be looking out for your good, and it won't help you have the mind that will accommodate whatever it is that's the error. It paints a picture that could completely destroy. And then when we're talking about the issue of laying foundation, knowing that you already didn't have time before getting into this thing called marriage, it will be important that you spend time together. Look for ways of spending time together. Look for ways of doing things together. That will mean you will try to discover each other's areas of interest and see how you can share them. All right, how both of you can participate together and build each other up. Because the truth is that there's a way in which doing things together helps you bond. It brings the laughter that you're looking for, because somebody doesn't know how to do one thing and you're both laughing. All right, it brings the interaction that you need to discover some mannerisms, some habits that this other person has. So when you're able to spend time together, it helps friendship grow. It helps you to build up that friendship. One thing I will say is that one key ingredient here is patience, because friendship doesn't grow in one day. There's no magic wand that will just make you friends just at the snap of a finger. It is built. Friendship is built. It is cultivated. It's nurtured. So patience is important. It may require time, but if you're patient, you'll get there. I'll stop here for now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, pastors. Yes. So, when you were talking, you said something, believing that the other person has your interest at heart. And that just reminds me of a friend of mine during my youth service. He says something, he said, it's a mistake of the head, not of the heart. So in the heart, the person means best. In the head, it wasn't properly put or something like that,
Oh.
But from the heart, no ill was meant. So I've also seen some family, or at least I had a sister say something like she had issues with her husband, and instead of discussing it verbally with him, she chose to write a letter. They are living in the same house. She decided to put it on paper, and give to him, And I've also had someone else say that they've been married for a number of years, but they're not friends. Let me put it that way, They don't seem to, it's just the framework of marriage. Okay, we're married, I'm the wife, you're the husband, that's the husband's role, that's the wife's role. Apart from that, they don't seem to be connecting. So I want to ask, families like that or couples like that relationship has been strained, or because I personally think that this friendship thing should come prior to marriage. But where in some cases, for whatever reason, they were not really friends, but they just got married. And some were friends, but for whatever reasons, that connection doesn't seem to be there anymore. What do you think they can do as individuals and collectively to be able to rebuild this friendship?
I think the issue goes back to, what are really those ingredients of friendship? Spending time together, right? So they should intentionally spend time together. Friendship is about effective communication, right? Understanding the language of communication. Friendship does not take away, our individualism. No, it only accepts our individualism, right? And is able to go ahead to engage the who you are, right? And very importantly is that we will not avoid each other, right? We will be together and talk to each other. Now, conflict resolution is a very important aspect even of friendship. If you look at children, you will discover that even when they quarrel, right, because they like their company, the company of each other, they will just find a way, right, to go back there and bring back that relationship. So what they are not willing to lose here is the relationship. So whatever it is, whether it's about forgetting without even when you ask for, or looking for one, pretentiously looking for a way around it, just to get back into playing together on that sand, or use in those days, the wheel that they used to call gere in the north, that you drive together. That thing, that desire to come back to each other forces you to want to forgive and forget. So many times when we say, oh, I can forgive, but I won't forget. So those kind of statements are statements that are inimical, as it were, to friendship. In friendship, you actually are ready to just let go and let God. You don't dwell too deeply on a situation because you value that relationship more than that immediate loss or whatever you want to put it at that point in time. So what should they do? Number one is that they should esteem their relationship. This time already married anyway. So they are better, enjoying time together than wasting time, because you're only going to get married in this lifetime. Like I always say, if you are angry, well, you're punishing yourself. All right. So just look for a way to be happy. And we said that one very important thing about friends is that they share moments of excitement together. So emphasize that. All right. Even where there are challenges, be willing to come out with that challenges very quickly, because you know that you need that time together. That's very, very critical. So it's about being intentional, being ready to forgive. Now, don't quote scriptures like sometimes people will say, if you ask for forgiveness, that's when you'll be forgiven. No, now. Even if it doesn't have for forgiveness, just forgive, because you yourself, you're willing to get back into that moment of laughter together, right? And that's very key, because while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. He didn't wait for us, right? He was already there wanting us, even when we are rejecting him. Now, and honestly, this is not about trying to sound overtly spiritual, but that's just the reality. That as Christians, right, we should have the mind of Christ. And by having the mind of Christ, things like forgiveness should just come because we need to be forgiven, right? And we need a better environment together. Toxic environment is unacceptable. Don't just allow it for a moment. Yeah, so anything that takes you into that space where you have a situation of joy together and laughter together, just get back there. That's what I would say. And that's what I've been doing with this girl for 32 years back.
So I would
So let's hear from the girl.
that I mean, having given us the example of Jesus Christ, where there's a relationship where there's no friendship in a marriage, somebody has to be ready to be the sacrificial lamb. Somebody has to be ready to bear the pain or the pressure of making it work. Because in getting it work, it will not happen just by somebody wishing it. It won't happen by wishing it. It has to be deliberate, like we've said. So if it must happen, somebody has to be ready to be defrauded in love. You have to. Somebody has to be the sacrificial lamb, like I said, willing to make the necessary sacrifices to get there. So that means that there will be times when you ordinarily should pick offense and you refuse to. You ordinarily probably should be seeing an error, a fault, and you will refuse to. You should feel wounded, but you will refuse to because you want this friendship to develop. And that can only happen when you have set your priorities. This marriage must work. This marriage is not about me, it's about us, and it's about God. If those things are in place, then you'll be able to walk up gradually up the hill, trying to get to the mountaintop. Both of you need to work on it, but where there's no mutual agreement yet, somebody has to make the necessary sacrifice. And I believe that as time progresses, you discover that the partner will begin to see the good in what the sacrifice the other spouse is making. Like, some people didn't grow up in an environment of love. So coming into a marriage, they don't know how to express love. All right, they love this spouse, but they just don't know how to express it. And so if you, on the other hand, the spouse is from an environment where love is also lavishly expressed, you wonder what's wrong with the person you have married. And if you're not willing to make the necessary sacrifice, it can create cracks and leave scars. But when somebody is ready to make the sacrifice, you discover that as you keep expressing love, he gets to see or she gets to see, oh, there's actually another side to this love that I have. And gradually we begin to begin. Just like every other thing that we say about marriages. The last time we were saying, I am less expressive, I talk less, I'm not as outgoing as my husband. But that in recent times, I actually have become much more expressive than I used to be and more outgoing. So over time, you begin to pick things off each other. Gradually, you can get there. But for such a couple, they must have patience.
So let me just add that let's allow it to be natural, right? And that's very important. It's not a quick fix kind of a thing. Yeah. It's a journey of learning, intentionally learning. And that's very important. I know that we are actually, when you hear some of the things my wife is saying right now, you are like, something ticks, within the mind around issues today that we grapple with when it comes to emotional abuse. Yeah, will it not look as if you are trying to suppress something And if you suppress it, it will speak someday. No, sir. No, man. I mean, it is something that you already are intentional about, right? The Bible says Jesus, for the joy that was set before him, endured the contradiction of sinners, despising the shame. So there's actually a process that gets there. There's something that you are looking out to achieve, right? And until you get there, you're not giving up. So with that kind of mindset, you're not looking at your partner as, oh, I'm putting in so much effort. He's not responding yet. He's not responding yet. And, you know, if you understand that you actually have an assignment in each other's life, yeah, you will, without waiting for the other person to begin to respond, be ready to make the sacrifice that will help the other person change. That's very, very key. All right. That you are not setting time around it. You're not saying, oh, I'm not seeing this or saying that. No. It is just that I like this person. This person is my friend. Have all his best interest in mind. I always will say that even if Joy did not become my wife, she definitely will have still been one of my best friends, right? Because right from the word go, I made up my mind, I just like this lady, right? And that's just what it is. So come rain, come shine, I like her and I'm ready to do anything for her. That's the way it is, right? And with that kind of mindset, you de-emphasize, the things that will make you see otherwise, right? And work into making each other better. So it's a journey, right? And it's a journey of continuous learning. 32 years after, we still learn, by the way.
Sure.
Yeah, so if you are speaking, Emmanuel, you are speaking against
You're muted.
muted. Yeah.
Sorry. I was saying that, Pastor Joy, you said something that has been a thorn in many marriages. You said that some people come from a background of abuse and they are not able to express love. And then it's not because they don't have it in their hearts, but just do not know how to express it. And I think there are also people who did not, it's not because they come from a came from or come from a background of abuse, but just because maybe they didn't grow up in an environment where love is, like you said, generously expressed. So they don't know, and then they come into the marriage, and how does the other person, or what can they, I don't know, what can they do to assure their spouse and friend that even though they are not expressing these things, that they love the person? Like we have in friendship, you meet somebody, you are not really, I love you. But the person just knows you're his friend. So we did that over maybe meeting frequently and sharing things and all that. So in a marriage, in the context of marriage, within the marriage and within marriage, how, when faced with this kind of situation, which is common, in fact, our guest before you, that was what the wife said. She wants a more romantic person, but the husband is not that type. So how would you encourage couples if they're faced with this kind of situation? And I guess most times, the person who is not expressive, who is not expressing love, doesn't really know that he's committing a crime.
I don't know what the name of that crime is. The crime is called what?
Pastor Joy knows. Ask will tell you.
You want
Okay.
to give me the assignment of naming it.
Yes.
Well, I actually would say that, like I said when I was talking, it is not usually very easy come out of it. All right. Sometimes the help of, I don't want to say therapists, because not every therapist out there is a believer. The help of some kind of counselor. And therapist is a more contemporary language, but honestly, I would rather say a counselor, somebody who would counsel both of them and help them understand that there is a way out of this frozen zone, this dry zone. The reason why that's necessary is that the more expressive person who keeps saying, I love you, and then expressing love in various ways, and the other person can start feeling under pressure. Like, come, what's your own? This one is too much, right? And it could create more trouble instead of solving the problem. But if you have a neutral person talking to both of them and saying, oh, okay, look, this is what's just happening. It's just that your spouse is more expressive than you are, and finds it easier to express himself or herself when it comes to love. And also, there's this thing called the language of love that we keep hearing all around. Right? People's love language could be different. Some people love it when they are given gifts. They think that's when they are loved. Some just want to hear it. All right. Some want to hear it before an audience, when people are gathered. Oh, let the person come out and say how wonderful I am. That's love. All right. But for some others, in fact, it is when it is said in private that it means a lot to them. I'm that kind of person. You don't need to tell anybody. Tell me and let me see it. That's how I am. I'm not interested in the audience. I am the one who wants to know that you love me. All right. But some people prefer it, and it's like, oh, you don't talk about me before people, and so we are different. But if we have another person who comes in and says, okay, this is what I can perceive from what's going on, and this could be the way out. It helps sometimes. Yes, they can work on it, but sometimes when you get counsel from outside, it makes it faster. That would be nice.
So, I mean, I would like to add that we really need to be a lot more open. I mean, these days, for the fear of many things, we allow, things to keep building up until it gets to a breaking point. We most times come from backgrounds that say, okay, well, you need to keep your marriage issues to yourself. Don't talk to anybody about it. Resolve it together and all that. Now, the intention for that is very, very good. However, when you're running into trouble, cry out is very, very important, right? Open up to some counselor. Part of your decisions actually could be, if we have an issue, who can we talk to? And you mutually agree on that. That's very, very important, because if you allow issues to mount up to a boiling point, it can be disastrous. It can create scars that my wife mentioned earlier on, and the devil can keep, pointing, your eyes to those, scars. Even when the other person may have changed or moved on, you are still looking at it from where, the person was before. Genuinely believe in each other. When I say that I'm sorry, let it really mean that, yeah, and my partner should also see it that same way. Sometimes, because things have happened over and over again, we just stay there and find it difficult to move on. Now, again, that is where friendship, right, becomes very, very key. Sometimes with the straitjacket responsibility around marriage, we feel entitled, and rightly so, yeah. And because of that, we don't easily, overlook issues. But be light, be serious, and be light. Allow each other to have fun in the midst of your seriousness. Sometimes we are overtly just too serious. So any word spoken one way must mean something else. All right. So you just can't allow things to just, gloss over it and you move on. but you should be willing to do that, right? Again, it's about learning each other and knowing what is specific, right, to each other. Somebody listening to this may want to do copy and paste. Don't do copy and paste, right? What exactly is the love language of your spouse, right? That is what you're going to work on, not importing, right? If you import, you have to import the personality that you are also importing that trait from, and that will be difficult. But there's something unique about you that can express kindness, empathy, love, believe in each other. There's something unique about you. Grow that thing and develop it. Have trusted friends you can talk to, right? Many times, people have come to me, right, in church, and they say, "Oh, if I ask questions like, have you spoken to this?" They say, "No, I can't talk. I can't say this to any person." Nobody's asking you to go around telling everybody about your issues, but then you must be willing to talk to somebody and believe that you can be helped and you'll get help. That's what the support system around you guarantees. By the way, to make this a lot easier, can you stop the Pastor Joy and Pastor Ed, right, so that we can flow more? This your pastor is is intimidating us here. Because in the beginning we were not pastors.
Yeah.
And at home we are not pastors either.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe
Okay,
you can
so
go on.
yeah, I'm back. I didn't know I had internet issues and I kept talking. So let me just repeat what I was asking the other time. Yeah, from our discussion, from where I got cut off, it does appear to me that it pays to focus on the strengths of our spouses. We all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses, while not sweeping the weaknesses under the carpet, because you're actually not helping the person either. So it should be discussed in an atmosphere of mutual trust and love and understanding. And also I tend to get the fact that friendship is something that each party should intentionally build, cultivate, and not just leave it alone for one party to do. Sorry, I was talking with someone over the week, last week, in fact. So, and he was telling me that for a marriage to work, it's the woman to make it work. I said, no, it's both parties. You can't just leave everything for the woman. He said that he knows why he's saying that if a good woman will make the marriage work. So sometimes people go into marriage with that kind of idea and they create a lot of mess. So both parties should be intentional about cultivating friendship. I don't know if I'm right in deducing that from the discussion so far.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's strange to say the woman will make it work. No, both of you will make it work because you each bring something into the table, right? That in the mix gives that atmosphere of love. I think one thing, so I don't lose that thought, that is very important, is that in friendship, that mentality of superiority does not exist. And that's very important, right? That mentality of I am the boss does not exist in friendship. And that's one very challenging situation, that whenever we talk about submission and love, the husband's role and the wife's role, there is somewhere hidden behind that superior mentality. So you must give in and all that. And sometimes the pulpit doesn't help matters, or because we don't have sufficient time in one message to be able to pass the total picture across, we tend to give that kind of feeling that makes the man feel superior, right? That doesn't exist in friendship. In friendship, what happens is that everybody, brings his own strength into the picture, and we all benefit from that strength, right? So it's a mutual growth, right? A mutual support that recognizes the strength of the other person. And that works very, very well in marriage. And that's the reason why you can't say this is left for the woman to work out and this is left for the man to work out. I mean, just before this protest, I've been telling people, the protest is going to take place. You need to go and get food stuff, right? And keep. And my wife was going to travel. Guess what? I went to buy food stuff and keep in the house, right? Even when she was away. And already the money, right, for upkeep for the month was already with her, right? So it wasn't even about saying, okay, bring that part of the money and all that. We can joke about some things, right? Like, so we are going to pay for something. I say, you pay for your money, that kind of a thing. But all that really is not about being fixated. Yeah, it's really about bringing that situation, solving that problem, right? Knowing fully well that it's coming back to the home. It reminds me that when we were the day of our wedding, when it was time to dance, and I had some new notes and disclaimer, please. There's no spraying now again. It's against EFCC. I hope I've said that. Okay. Now, so then that time we used to spray. So by the time I was spraying her and all that, I was just lavishly doing it. And in my mind, I'm saying, it's coming back home. It's coming back home. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much I was spending that way. It's coming back home. It's coming back home. That kind of thing. So there's nothing I'm losing because the money is not going anywhere. But again, so on a light note, but quite seriously, it's about the fact that you understand that this is all together, right? Nothing is lost. It's whatever you are investing into yourself, really.
Yeah, I think that was what Jesus did, and if the Bible tells us that the marriage relationship is typified after the relationship of Jesus Christ with the church, then we can't but take a look at the relationship of Jesus Christ and the church. Jesus did not wait until the church was suitable, all right? And he made the necessary sacrifice for the church to come to the standard that he wanted. All right. So if you look at that, we would even say it is the man's responsibility. But we see that in developing the relationship between us and our Lord and the husband of the church also has responsibilities on how to relate with him and how we will keep responding to him and getting better until we come to that church that's without spot or wrinkle that is waiting to see. So it's a two-way thing and shouldn't be seen as one person's assignment. I'm sure scriptures like a wise woman buildeth her own will make people draw such conclusions. But then I think that it's a two-way thing and it should come from both sides, working on getting better.
Okay, and so please just a quick one. I will follow up to that. So as couples, yes, we are couples, yet we're still individuals. So our temperaments are still there. Now, what would you want to say to? Okay, let's just assume one couple likes one is conservative, one is on the hyper side. Let me just put it that way, and then let's just give an example of there's an occasion and people are called out to dance with their spouses, and your wife is shy and doesn't like you already know she doesn't like all those kind of stuff. She's a shy type, but you're fine with it and you can do quite some good dances, and you now want to insist she does that, because you're in public and they say couples should dance and while she's taking her gentle steps, you want to go the other way and all that. So how do you match that so that one party doesn't go back looking dissatisfied and unhappy just because he wants to please the other party?
Maybe
Or the
that
other
describes,
party feels bad that this one didn't do what I expected to do.
maybe that describes Joy and Eddie. Maybe she should answer that. Because what happens is that I'm more expressive and she's conservative. So sometimes we'll go to the dance floor together and she will look at me somehow and I will understand that she needs to sit down. I probably continue. Doesn't feel bad about it. So sometimes, okay, I come down and sit down with her also, knowing that I should just calm down. That's just what it is. So, it's about not picking offense about it.
Yeah, I guess that's just refuse to pick offense. All right, because you can't stop the other person from being himself or herself. All right, he must also express himself, just like you want to express yourself. So you can't stifle the personality of that person. I said something in the course of our discussion that you need to learn one another. Learn one another. It's part of what happens. For us, we're privileged to have courted for a long time. But for people who don't have a long time to court, it is necessary that even when you have gotten into marriage, you learn one another. What does he like? What does she like? What does she not like? So where is the middle line where we can meet? For instance, this dancing issue. I will dance, but I am not likely going to dance vigorously. Meanwhile, he would just allow himself enjoy the music and give it all the necessary steps. So we could be on the floor together. I may end up dancing more vigorously than I would have ordinarily, so that he also does not look too out of place. But I would still be myself. And I think over the years we have come to understand one another over that, and it doesn't give us any issues. What we should just learn to do is to be able to accommodate one another's excesses or inactivity, as the case may be. Gradually, you just discover that you will blend as time goes on. But like I said, patience is a very important ingredient in this whole journey. We'll get there. Just keep reassuring yourself, we'll get there, because you will if you're deliberate and you keep your focus on getting there. You will get there.
If I may add, there's no other person to impress more than your spouse, by the way. So you're not there to impress other people. They will go back home with their impression, right? And you come back home, with your son. So don't go out trying to impress somebody else. Okay, because other people are dancing, then you also want to make a show out of it. Because that you want to force, the other person out of his or her comfort zone and all that. No. So as you grow, learn each other, you enter into each other's growth space, right? You get better at it, but don't go out trying to impress other people. Please impress yourselves. That's very important. Your most important person is your spouse. It's not somebody else. So don't go out there to do something because you feel somebody else will be impressed. At the expense of your spouse, no, that won't be right at all. By the way, I acknowledge our senior friend and brother, Reverend Bernard Onyemachi, and I believe his wife is also there, Doris. I have not met Stella, I don't know, but Stella and Lugoki, I know I have friends who are friends with Stella. I think the Martins to Louise used to be my roommates in ABU, and I think it's Stella's friends too. And everyone on the call, just to say thanks for joining too.
We have not closed yet. There's a critical thing I want you to comment on. Many years ago, I was discussing with a lady, they are older Christians. They were married and children when I wasn't married, so it should be that was a long time ago. But the marriage wasn't working well. They are Christians. They are actually SU people. And when I was talking with the wife, because the husband worked somewhere else, she worked in a different place. So they meet maybe when he's off or whenever he travels back to the place. But what she said that I haven't forgotten over maybe close to 40 years is that she thought that the marriage would have ended long ago if both of them were living together permanently. I don't know if part of our audience, live or those who will watch the recording, are in that kind of situation. What would you say to, if you were to have such people to counsel, what counsel would you give them?
Okay, so to be honest, right? Being Christians is one of the biggest gifts that we have. And that's very important because we have the scriptures as our strong consolation and as our fountain for wisdom. You know, every area of your life must be an opportunity to express Christ likeness. And we must, as individuals, be willing to ask ourselves the question, what would Jesus Christ do? Right? Empathy, love, consideration for the next person, kindness, just the fruit of the Spirit. Right? If there's a place we need to grow it, hone it, practice it, it should be in our home. So I will start by saying, are you a Christian? I mean, start the issue of measuring your Christ likeness from your home, from how you treat your spouse, how you deal with your children. Just look at the scripture, right, and see yourself growing in Christ. Now the question then will be, okay, supposing it is somebody that are not Christians, how then will they react to this? Unfortunately, sometimes you even discover, in some sense, apart from the fact that our marriage as Christians includes that we have a responsibility to help each other to make heaven. If it is as it meets the eye, you would discover that some non-Christian marriages seems to even be happier, right? The expectations are not too much, so people just go ahead and live well together, right? How would you say somebody is your wife or your husband and spending time together is offensive? That's strange because it is not good that a man should be alone. It means that fundamental to marriage is companionship. Yeah. And companionship is not Zoom, it's not Facebook. In the beginning, companionship is together. So cultivate the habit, right, that allow both of you to enjoy company together. So whatever it is that works for you, that bring you to that state, that is the right thing to do. So it is fundamentally going back to the basics, right, of what brings us together. Let us work at that. And it's for the two of you, right? Sometimes there could be a faster person and a slower person. Wherever you are in that particular state, be ready to help the other person to go on. If you watch my wife and I walk on the street, typically I may be like 5 steps ahead of her. And many times I will have to think, okay, and all that. Right. So it's about continuous consideration. right? So they may have faced some sad situations before. There may be reasons why they are where they are, but they don't have to continue in that. So my counsel to any person that finds himself in that kind of situation is to say, stop where you are at that point. Don't dig deeper into the negative, all right? Talk to each other. If you're finding it difficult, open up to counsel, all right? Get the counsel. You are better together. Two are better than one, and that's key. Just walk back that relationship to a point where you want to be each other's company. Otherwise, we will declare COVID so that you must stay together. Because that's what COVID did. I mean, you just have to be together. You don't have a choice, right? There's nowhere to go. So that would be my counsel, by the way. So the COVID one is just a teaser. No more COVID.
Yeah, Pastor Joy, what would you want to add?
I'll just say that they should both identify what are the things that cause these sparks to fly. What are the things that cause trouble? What does he not like? What does she not like? What does he complain about? What does she complain about? I also just give the example of walking together on the street. And at the beginning, it used to really get at me. Like you're walking with somebody, you're going somewhere, and then he's just ahead of you. And then after some time, you look back and oh, it used to get at me. I just didn't understand it. But over the years now, what I do is I create laughter out of it. When he's going, I say, General, there's a soldier that is not catching up, and he will laugh, and he will turn back and slow down, or just say something that will make us laugh, and then he realizes it and he stops. We can actually help ourselves in these situations. Let it not be, why are you just walking as if you don't know that you're walking with somebody? That is not likely to get a good reply. It's likely to be another fire back, and then something escalates from there. So learn to make jokes out of certain things that actually hurt you. Something that I know that also causes issues is you don't appreciate anything I do. You never compliment me on anything. And it's only the ones I do wrong that you talk about. Yes, you can always help yourself. If I cook and I know that, look, I put extra effort into this food, and this man is not saying anything, I usually I'll say, this food today, even me that I put it, I know it's sweet. I'm just enjoying it. And then he burst into laughter because he knows I'm actually cutting. I'm looking for compliments. I'm fishing for compliments. And he will start laughing. So you can, it may not be that easy for someone else. All right? Because like we said, we were friends before we got married. So it may not be that easy for someone else, but you can always devise your own method. You can look for how it works, what fits for both of you.
Thank you very much.
Laughter is a very good medicine, by the way.
Yeah.
Create things that make you laugh together. Very important.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. There are two questions. Sorry, there are two questions from Facebook. And the first one says, my question for the guest, were they friends before marriage or they became friends in marriage? The follow-up, I think when you put the two, it will be easier to. General opinion is that one should marry his or her friend. But is it equal to friendship in marriage? Just that you married your friend, does that make it couple friends? When you become couples, you are friends because you started off as friends?
Okay, so the first question, the answer is yes, that we were friends, before we got married. That's there. And we also have mutual friends because we were in the same fellowship, in the fellowship also we're in the same department. So yes, we were friends before marriage. The other question is whether you should marry your friend.
No, no. If you marry your friend, does that make it a couple as friends? Does that immediately translate to a couple that are friends?
The answer is no. It doesn't immediately translate. However, it should translate. The reason why it may not immediately translate is when you now begin to emphasize roles. I'm the husband, you are the wife, right? And you go to Ephesians 5 and become a professor in the husband is the head of the home, the wife you must, submit. So if you now get a PhD degree, right, and trying to analyze that and try to create some very forceful lines, then you will not be friends in marriage, right? But if you carry the same kind of qualities, yeah, intentionality, attitudes that you had before as friends into your marriage, yeah, you then continue as friends in marriage. That's the way it is. So whatever made you able to maintain that friendship, still take it along with you. All right. Still take it along with you. Don't drop them. And I mean, some people, before they got married, they were used to taking their wives out. I mean, they have fun times together. Once they get married, now you say, now, this is we are now serious. We have this to do. We have this to that. I mean, and they now stop doing the things they used to do. It's not only because maybe they have new responsibilities, by the way. And may I warn those young ones early enough, as it was in the beginning, it's going to be at the end. So the same things that you now begin to put as priorities, your children, this and that, they will leave you at some point and you are back together. So if you have created that gap, coming to pick it up again after several years will be very, very, a tall order. So you better maintain it continuously. Keep within the allowable limits, right? Keep feeding it with the right, food, so that when they are gone, you can still be smiling together. You can still have fun together. You can still enjoy each other's company. Over to
Thank you
you.
very much.
You see that just reminds me of when Jesus was talking. In Revelation, talking about the message to the churches. Yes, the Ephesians. Yes, the church at Ephesus.
Yeah.
Where it says you have lost your first love.
First love. Yeah.
Remember where you have fallen and begin to do the first works.
Yeah.
So as couples, if we find out that something is not happening or jiving, as they would say, so remember what happened. Take note of it. Then also remember your first works and begin to do them. And I think it's just natural. Those things will begin to
Go again.
So please, honey, just a very quick one before we round up. That's this, permit me to use this slang in this platform, see finish. Sometimes you hear people say, use that word. I believe you understand what I mean.
Yeah,
so when it comes to relationships in couples, you're married, and things begin to happen the way they shouldn't, and this slang comes in, how do you think that thing can be managed? Because it could create a lot of crisis in the home.
Well, like usually we joke about this. I mean, if your spouse does not see you finish, who else? Because in reality, your spouse has seen you finish. I mean, right? They were naked and they were not ashamed. What is he finish? That is he finish. So I mean, we should not even get to that point. Right. Again, it is still back to that same concept of superiority. That's the only time you say that person has seen you finish. I mean, your spouse is you. The two of you have become one. It's really very difficult to actually want to understand what it means that your spouse, because most times it's really the husband saying to the wife, "You don't see me finish." Again, sometimes it's because in most marriages, the husband is older than the wife. In some cases, the age disparity can be wide. As long as you have accepted to come together as husband and wife, right? All those barriers, you must just drop them. I mean, de-emphasize them completely. Yeah. Help the other person to be able to easily flow in that space. Otherwise, you have bipolar person, right? Who will have to behave this way at some point and behave this way in another point. So you have a master-servant relationship, head boy, and others kind of relationship, and that's not marriage, right? Marriage actually should bring you to the same level together because you're already knitted, yeah, emotionally, knitted spiritually, knitted physically. So whoever is at that point that is saying, "My wife don't see me finish," I beg you, indeed, she don't see you finish. And she's the only one that should see you finish. Yeah. And the other way also, if you're a woman and you are saying your husband don't see you finish, yes, that is the right thing. And he's the only one too that should see you finish. But whatever is underlying there, mutual respect is very important. Let's respect each other. Marriage does not promote disrespect all the same, right? And respect is mutual. So let's respect each other. That's basically what it is. You know the individuality, yeah, of your spouse until, like Jesus Christ, Ephesians, we say until we all reach, yeah, the fullness of Christ. It means that there's room that we are all growing into. So, but today you are saying see finish. You are working on yourself not to be seen as see finish. You are also waiting for that person to work not to be seen as see finish until you get to a point where see finish syndrome does not exist at all. But let's not create a situation where we look down on our spouses as less than us. That's the only time we use those kind of languages. Madam J.
Thank you very much.
Well, I would just like to add that sometimes the issue of see finish, we must not shy away from the fact that, like we had said earlier in this discussion, there are people who have had experiences in the past. All right, people have grown up in some kind of environment that has molded their personality, and they come into marriage with all their baggage. All right, somebody who has passed through some kind of trauma or the other comes into marriage, and then probably where she's coming from, parents were hostile to each other, always quarreling, fighting, and all that. So that child comes with that baggage into marriage and has made up her mind that no man will cheat me. That kind of posture. And so she comes in and begins to display no man can cheat me. Yeah, so we need to recognize that in each other as spouses. If you're friends, it's like if you had a friend that you weren't married to who was saying things like that, how would you respond? Would you get up and slap her and say, "How dare you?" You wouldn't. You most likely would be saying, "Oh no. Life is not always like that. I mean, it can be this other way." And then you will now have to make the effort to convince So we need to help each other's, we need to support each other's attempts at getting better. And we need to recognize where the person is coming from. Understand that it could be the reason why some things are manifesting. So this see finish may not even be deliberate, it could just be somewhere lying there silently in the subconscious and just manifest. So you can recognize it as such, and you think that person needs help, then go all the way out to convince the person to get help. I think it's something you can handle. Be ready to support, be ready to be defrauded in love, be ready to give the necessary affirmations, all right, that's required to change the mindset and get that person to the location you want. You know, when Jesus does the washing of his bride, his church, he does that washing and presents to himself a church that's without spot or wrinkle. And that's what we should do, one with another. Just like it's quite limited. But he speaks to couples, and then the very first instruction is submitting one to another before he begins to tell the woman to submit and the man to love. All right, so he says submitting one to another. So there's a mutual submission that should take
In the fear of God.
in the fear of God. Like we said when we were beginning, this thing called marriage is about God, it's not just about us. All right, so the fear of God, is this what I should do? If I fear God, is this how I should respond? And like I said in the last session, praying for is very important. Not just when both of you are praying together, but as an individual, when in your own private prayers, pray for your spouse. Because even the same person whom you started out as friends, experiences of life in the course of marriage can make that person become a different person. All right, so starting out as friends does not guarantee that it will last all the way through. So you need to support each other in prayers, uphold each other, and generally guide each other to ensure that you jealously guard this precious thing that you have, friendship in marriage. It's important. See finish, I wouldn't say it exists if you decide to work on your mind. It is in the mind. That see finish thing is in the mind. But I'd like to say, and I'm glad that I am the woman I am. The Bible, however, still says that the man is the head of the home. And while I will not say that any man should oppress a woman, all right, I think God's arrangement still holds a place in any marriage. But the man is the head of the home and should be seen as such. Time will not allow us to start dissecting that, but I'd like to say it because our world right now is totally changing. Wanting to change that. Yes, no man should suppress a woman, but it doesn't change the fact that God was not asleep or half awake when he said that the man is the head of the woman.
Thank you very much, Pastor. And thank you, Pastor Edmund and wife. We had a tremendous time. You can't believe it's almost 8:30.
Yeah, I mean,
Close to 1.5 hours. And I wish we could continue. Thank you so very much. For those of us online, we've been listening to or chatting with Pastors Joy and Pastor Edmund Osao. Pastor Joy is the proprietor of Newma Bridge International Academy here in Port Harcourt off East West Road. Rumodara here in Port Harcourt, if you're still a young person raising up children of young age, I think that's a place you need to take your children to. So off East West Road, Rumodara is a Newman Bridge International Academy, where Pastor Joy is the proprietor. I want to also highlight something she has said, the Pastor Edmond also has said, the issue of seeking counsel. I would usually advise couple as you start out, in fact, as soon as you get engaged, two of you should look for somebody you respect, somebody whose marriage you respect. Go put yourself under them. Don't wait until you have problems. If you do that, when issues come, it will be easier before you have issues. They share with you, they share their lives. Imagine if you were maybe under Pastor of Joy and Edmond and you're a young couple. I'm sure without going to them for trouble when you have problems, just sharing their lives with you, these wise counsels as you meet together would pave a way for a healthy marriage. So please do not wait until you have problems. Look for couples that you respect. Go put yourself under them. It will help. The issue of counsel has been mentioned. The Pastor Edmond had mentioned, Pastor Joy has also mentioned. It is necessary for you if you want to have a healthy marriage. We did that as soon as I got engaged in Warri. I did that when we left Warri. I got to Port Harcourt. I did that again. We've never had cause to go to them and say, see the challenge we are having. But having them has helped us, because if I'm trying to pull down the house and my wife just says, I'm going to call this brother, tempers will come down. So please, if you don't take anything else from today's session, get a couple, a respected couple, God-fearing couple, who are walking the talk, and put yourself under them. It will help. So Pastor Edmond and Pastor Joy, please, thank you so very much. As we close, please, can you just give, maybe you have a parting shot to give to...
So what I will say in conclusion is marriage is wonderful. All the efforts that you need to put into it in making your spouse happy, please do. It takes patience, but it's about being intentional, being open. A book that, incidentally, I've not read it. I like the title of the book, and I bought both of them. And that was written by Steve Organ, Dr. Steve Organ. And the title is How to Beat Your Wife and How to Beat Your Husband. And basically what that means is how to outdo the other person, right, in caring for that person, in supporting that person. So each person should come into this relationship wanting, right, to be the better version of himself, right, and also wanting to support his or her spouse, right, in enjoying. Look, enjoy the marriage. I have made up my mind right from the word go that I will enjoy marriage, and that I will make sure my wife enjoy marrying me. And that's the goal that I believe every one of us should have. Please leave Google and the society, yeah, and all the interpretation they give to marriage. Sometimes when you look around, you can count several marriages that have failed, especially for the audience that may be outside there, in Europe, in America. The culture have changed your perception. Culture didn't change the perception of Jesus Christ to marriage. Allow your marriage to be a reflection, right, your Christian life. And if you do, you will have a successful home. That's my parting words. Joy?
Well, I'll say marriage is not a scam.
It's not a scam. No, it's not.
Marriage can be beautiful.
Yeah.
Marriage can be worked at. And marriage was God's idea at the onset. And he has principles that guide it. We work by the principles, we get the results.
Thank you very much, Pastor Joe, as usual, brief and
Insightful, yeah.
Do you have any short parting shot?
No, thank you again and again. We appreciate you, and we love all you have shared with us, and we'll go with it. Thank you. We're blessed.
Thank you for many years of friendship, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for the wisdom. Pastor Edmond,
Honey, sorry, honey. Honey, please, before you close, just tomorrow is August 19th, and that's 29 years wedding anniversary for us.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I was there.
You.
Yeah, you were from the beginning. Where?
I was there.
From the beginning, yes.
At the introduction, knocking on door, introduction. I think even at the
traditional wedding.
So you see, I was there, and I thank God for that. Thanks for the great work you have done, and you continue to do it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
God bless. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
We end for today. Those of you from Facebook and online Zoom, God bless you. We appreciate you for being with us. We'll load this on YouTube so you can, we'll send out the link so you can watch and continue to refresh yourself with the wisdom that has been shared with us. Thank you so very much, Pastor Edmond. Thank you, Pastor Joe. God bless you richly.
God bless you. Good night, everybody. Cheers.